Hello, my name is Skylar.
And my name is Tala.
Before you listen to the brand new season of Dad's podcast, Over the Rainbow,
We want to say a big thank you to the traditional owners of the land we're on today.
we're standing on the lands of the Wurundjeri people who have looked after this land for thousands and thousands of years.
Do you know which land you're on right now?
Do you? We want to pay our respects to elders past, present, and the ones who are growing up today, just like us. This land was and always will be Aboriginal land.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Over the Rainbow, a Queer Dads podcast series. This is Murray and I am your host. I am so thrilled this week to be chatting with Daniel Brushweeler, a Queensland national, proud trans man, comedian and stepdad. Daniel shares how one life-changing moment stumbling across a TV show discussing what it meant to be trans finally made everything click. A lifetime of confusion, anxiety and feeling out of place suddenly made sense. We discuss what that was like and his stepson's reaction to it all. And if that wasn't remarkable enough, Daniel went on to pursue his passion for stand-up comedy, using humour to explore life as a trans man, the experience of living on both sides of the gender fence, and the joy of being his authentic self. When I first started this podcast, my aim was to explore all the different ways we become rainbow dads. Daniel is a perfect example of what happens when you start living your life as your true self, and how simplistic children sense this act of authenticity. There is so much to take away from this chat, so let's dive in and let's take a listen. Perhaps I'm going to hand it over to you and you can find the sweet starting point and we'll go from there.
Yeah, I think my story, it's definitely an interesting one. Definitely a bit different to most people's. I met my partner 5 years ago as female, so technically started off in a lesbian relationship with her. And she has a young son. He's 11 now, turning 12 in a week, which is crazy because I've been there since he was 6 years old. So wow. It's insane to see him grow. It's been amazing, but. Yeah, we obviously started dating and we were together for a while and him as a little 7-year-old asked if he could call me mum, which was beautiful. Like we've just bonded right from the beginning and then I've always told my partner about transitioning. It was never a secret. It was something that I felt I needed to talk about from the start. This is what I want to do. She's been incredibly supportive through it.
So you had that awareness right from the start of the relationship that that's where things were heading for you.
Yeah,
amazing.
I'd had previous relationships where it had been brought up later on and not gone so well. So I was always like, now that I'm sure of this is something that I need to tell people that I'm prospective partners and those sorts of things. And she's been incredibly supportive and we went and started going through the process. I changed my name to Daniel. I went on testosterone and we kind of sat him down. This was 4 years ago now and just said, look, this is what's happening. Carly, my dad name, Carly is going to be now Daniel and going to be living as a boy. And this, we didn't go scientifically down the road or anything. No, we just explain it in a very simple way. And he just goes, yeah, all right. And we're like, cool, that's great.
The real testament to kids is they simplify things and they remind you as adults that we just overcomplicate things, don't we?
Yes.
Yeah.
100%. 100%. He was just like, okay, yeah. And then I think it would have been a couple of months later, we were sitting playing Mario Kart. And I was playing and I just heard him go like, go dad. And I was just like, oh, looking around like, and I was like, oh, that's me. Like,
that's me.
Yeah, that's me. All right. So he was just like, oh yeah, this, and then if like randomly he'll come up to me and just be like, oh, Daniel suits you so much better. Like this makes more sense. And they just have this understanding because they haven't been told it's wrong.
Yes, yeah.
And they've been,
and essentially he is witnessing somebody living their authentic true self.
100%. And I think he sees like mentally how much better I'm doing in that sense as well. I'm not frustrated as easily. I don't have like there was a lot of anxiety. There was a lot of things that I had pre-transition, and I think going through the process, I've become happier and healthier in a lot of ways, and I think he sees that as well. And I think it also makes our family dynamic better as well. So it's only been positive in that sort of thing, and I think it's also given him a really good understanding of the world. As much as people like to say trans people and kids are not, we're indoctrinating or whatever, all those things. Like he's just a normal kid. He is happy. He's having a good time, and there's kids at his school that want to be called by different pronouns, and he respects that. And he's like, oh, so and so. Oh, now they want to be a boy, oh, la la la, and he just accepts it. And it's wonderful to see, because obviously we did, like growing up in the 90s, I didn't even know what a trans person was.
Yes, yeah.
And now these kids are free to just express themselves, whether they go through with puberty blockers, whether they do anything, just to be socially accepted, but being like, I feel like this.
Yes, yeah, and it being embraced, and not overcomplicated. Okay. That's great.
Okay, that's your name now. Like,
yes, yeah.
We've given nicknames to people throughout history, throughout our lives. So calling someone by a different name is not unusual.
Yes, yeah. Take me back to maybe your younger self, because you're kind of getting a do-over with your son now, aren't you? In terms of, perhaps the anxieties or the things that you faced growing up, you get to repeat it and see it through the eyes of your child, and it gets to be done perhaps maybe the way it should have been done for you.
Oh, 100%. Like, I had a very supportive family growing up. I had a very good childhood, aside from the trans things. Like, I went to a Christian private school, so first of all, that was hard. I had to wear the female uniform. There was no way I couldn't. Yeah. So body dysmorphia, all those things. I was, incredibly socially anxious. I really struggled. When I was comfortable, I was loud and talkative, and my comedy persona sort of came through there. It was always very much like, if I can keep people laughing, they won't be laughing at me, which I think a lot of comedians, that's where we get our start. But it's amazing, because now that I've alleviated a lot of it, I'm still working through it. I get to just enjoy my life, and seeing our son, he's just the confidence. And it's not just him, it's kids. I tutor kids as well after school, and just the confidence they have in themselves is incredible. No matter what's, where they're from, or gender wise or sexuality wise, all these things, they're just so sure of themselves, which I think.
Where do you think that's come from? Do you think that's from more enlightened parenting, that, as parents, we kind of don't want to do the same sort of things that was perhaps maybe done to us? So for our children now, we want to, embrace everything that they're doing? Or do you think it's a societal thing? Or do you think it's a bit more layered than that?
I think it's a mixture, definitely a mixture of things. I think there's a lot of, I guess, millennial, Gen X parents that are.
Which one are we up to now?
There's too many that are definitely trying to parent in a different way, not like unparenting, not those sorts of things. I think we're just trying to be I think we're working on ourselves a lot more, which in turn helps us work with our kids.
Because, I mean, when you think about it, hearing what you're saying about kids coming in and they've got more confidence and they're more willing to embrace themselves and life and others and all the rest of it, That's true in certain in my experience as well. But then you kind of look at society and you think, God, are we going forward or are we going backwards? I'm not sure.
Well, that's the thing, because like I think the internet and social media has such a huge thing to do with their confidence, because I think with all the diversity they see, they'll find someone that represents them. Like even doing shows, I've had young people come up and be like, I think I'm trans, and it's so good to see someone doing something that they enjoy and doing it well and those sorts of things. So I think there's so many more opportunities to see people that they want to be like, or that reflect them in a certain way.
Absolutely.
Who's online talking about their experiences. So I think that's amazing that they get to have that. On the flip side, they also see stuff that they could relate to in a bad way. So unfortunately, there's two sides of that coin. But I think it's got to do. I think you're right in the sense that it feels like we're going backwards.
Yes. But then just hearing about what you're saying, actually, it shows you sometimes we're pushed an agenda. Yeah. And with what you're saying in terms of kids coming with more confidence and all the rest of it, is they're probably rejecting that either on a conscious or subconscious level, that agenda. Yeah. And they're just seeing visibility and taking in and absorbing the things that they want to absorb.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think they're definitely they're just seeing a whole. I think the whole problem that we've had for so many years is an ignorance, because people didn't know a gay person, didn't know, and there was only one gay kid at the school, and like all these things, and so it was always othered. People were othered in whether it was race, gender, all those sorts of things. And I think just seeing queer people on social media, on TV, just seeing trans people, just seeing, like we were talking about before, a review of I hate trans people, but my husband thinks you're funny.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, you changed my whole opinion on trans people because all I've seen is what's on the media. And I'm like, well, they're picking and choosing what's being shown, obviously.
Yes.
It is. But I think with social media specifically, like I can put up my story. I mean, we can do a podcast together. Kids can find that. You know, there's so many opportunities to find the right representation. And I just think that's so important, because I just did not have that at all. I didn't, in the 90s, there was, I mean, in 2000s we had the movie Boys Don't Cry, which didn't make me hopeful for being a trans person, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And so I didn't even know about them. And it wasn't until I saw ABC's You Can't Ask That, and there were trans men on it.
I watched
and I was 24, 25, and I was like, oh, that's me. Like, I get it. Like, finally, it took 1 second of seeing these men talk, and I was like, I'm trans. That makes sense.
Wow.
And that was just, I was just on a houseboat for my birthday, and we had the TV on, and it randomly came on. It was not, I didn't search it out because I didn't even know.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah. So for kids to be able to see this earlier.
And so what was life like before that penny dropped? Was it just confusion and just like, what was it? What was your internal thinking?
It was definitely, it was definitely hard. Like, I mean, I have had a good life. I was happy to an extent. I was as happy as I felt I could be.
Right.
But I knew that there was something I was struggling with, and I knew like anxiety rise. I would stay in jobs just because I was too scared to go and look for new careers, too scared to look for new jobs, all those sorts of things. So I think I definitely not stopped living, but I think career-wise and passion-wise and all the things I wanted to do, I put on hold because I was just too anxious, and I felt like I was hiding part of myself. So I was trying to be perfect in every other way, and it just led to just crippling anxiety. So when I figured out what had happened, like when I figured out that I was trans, it still took me a while, because I was like, look, my life's not that bad. You know, I know what I might experience once I do this. I know how much money this is all going to cost. Like, I understand all the process. So maybe I'll be fine just being female. And yeah, I moved to Vancouver. I told everyone I was going to transition. Being there for 2 years, I was like, who cares if people don't like it? But it's Vancouver. So they were all just like, okay, that's, yeah. One of many, like, we don't care. so that gave me the confidence to sort of start telling my family and all that sort of thing. And then when I got back, COVID happened.
Oh, wow.
So that put off, but I started talking to my psychologist again throughout COVID. So by the time we could kick off, we pretty much kicked off. So
That's incredible. It's absolutely incredible the where you've taken this. And so now you are a comedian.
yes.
And so what I'm trying to lead to is pre-comedy, post-comedy. Where was your life? Was comedy ever on the cards for you, or is this kind of come out of the blue? Like you mentioned earlier that
yeah.
you used humour as a way, as a coping mechanism, but that doesn't necessarily translate to a
comedy.
comedian.
Yeah. So I've always loved comedy, stand-up comedy, film, TV shows, whatever. It's always been, I mean, I guess a big escape for me from just, I didn't even come out as, I'm bisexual now, but I didn't come out as liking women until I was 18 after
Right.
school. So like I was holding a lot in the closet. My closet was full when I was growing up. So I always loved comedy, and I went and studied film after school. So I studied script writing, and everything I wrote was comedy.
Yeah.
And so I learned a lot of the rules of comedy that come, like there's rules of three, there's misdirection, there's a lot of techniques that you utilize in scripts, which is
Is that like to deliver the punchline, you mean?
to
right.
deliver punchlines. So there's a few different ones you can use, and you sort of learn how to write comedy, which is a beginning.
Right.
The only thing with film is a lot of the times you use visual cues.
Yes.
So that's a little bit different. But it was after transitioning, after starting testosterone and changing my name legally and all these things, the confidence that it was just life changing. Top surgery changed everything. All of a sudden I was like, oh, I want to show the world everything I have. Like it was an instant change. And my partner, we had a couple of friends, and one of them does comedy. He's a stand-up comedian, and he brought his friend along to my birthday party to convince me to do comedy, because I had made jokes and like about my transition and these sorts of things, and they were like, yeah, this is actually really good material. So they signed me up we signed up for a competition called Brat Pack, which is like a newcomers show. And the first show I ever did, I got through to the final, and then I came second in the competition. And then from then on, I've becoming second in every competition. I'm this close to coming to Melbourne for Raw. I'm this close. I've been state runner-up twice. Right. But as soon as I started doing it, as soon as I got up on stage, I loved it. I would never stop doing it. Like it's a slog. It's hard. I mean, it's creative industries.
I mean, for the majority of people here, the thought of getting up and standing up in front of somebody and being so vulnerable to deliver material and just like, please laugh. Like it's not for the average person. Like it takes a very special person to do that.
It definitely, I think the rule is after your first bomb, if you want to get on stage, you should do comedy, because I didn't have my first bomb for a good couple of months, which is not normal.
Yeah.
And so it was pretty tough. It was up at Nambour, I think it was, at this cafe. And it was 5 minutes of complete silence. And it was a really bright room too. So there was no way you couldn't not see these like 12 people just staring at you. So as soon as that happened, I was like, okay, that's the worst. Like that's the worst. That's the bottom. That's the worst thing that can happen. So,
and I'm sure every comedian goes through that, right? Or has a story of that. Yeah.
Every single comedian. There's a woman who is on SNL, Leslie Jones. She was the opener for Eddie Murphy, I think it was, or one of the big comedians. And she's like, I literally got booed like off stage. And I think that was one of her first like big, like, this is a big time. I've made it big, like massive audience. And so compared to like 7 or 8 people not wanting to listen to me, like that's a big hard bomb. So I
I
think,
think what's so remarkable, though, just hearing that, is the fact that you went from this, from what you've described, a shy, anxiety-ridden person that didn't like to put themselves out there or put themselves forward,
yeah,
like to kind of like, not be center of attention, to then getting up in front of people and just being completely vulnerable. Like, it's
yeah.
such a contrast.
Well, yeah, I think it's a weird thing growing up for me, because I think it was like I was an extroverted introvert in the sense that I kind of, yeah, put myself out there in a comedic sort of way, just rather than, yeah, a vulnerable way. It was a much different way. And I also, as soon as I turned 18, alcohol helped with talking to people. So that led to just a lot of drinking in my younger days. I've definitely changed. I mean, not perfect, but I'm definitely better than I was. But I think
Yeah.
that really helped me to talk to people. So it just became a crutch. And now I can go into situations like, I mean, I don't think I'd ever be doing a podcast if I wasn't saying, "Oh, can we do it at 6 o'clock at night?" So I could have like a couple of beers beforehand. So the fact that I'm up talking to you on
And
this,
just so people know, regardless of when you're listening to this, we're recording early morning.
yeah.
Yeah.
This is early morning. I have a coffee. It's all,
Yes.
but yeah, I wouldn't. I don't think I don't think. I think I would be able to do it, but I think it would be a lot more stressful, and I don't think I'd be able to have a natural conversation. I think that's the key. I think I'm just happy with who I am, and it changes people's lives. And I think that's like the biggest thing, especially about trans issues, is people just don't understand, and it's kind of impossible to explain it to people. I can't explain how it felt
Yeah.
pre-transition, because it's just something no one else is ever going to feel. So
Yeah.
it's very hard to explain it, but the the feeling you get like once you start each little milestone that you go through, whether it's testosterone, whether it's even binding to start off with, or the other way around with the HRT and like voice change, like practicing changing your voice and stuff. It just every step it just
Brings you
makes
closer
you
to
feel.
you.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing that I talked to my psychologist about. She always said, like, "What's your idea? What are you going to be like when you're a man?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm going to be like super manly and like live in a forest and chop wood and all this stuff." And I've realized now that I actually have embraced so much more of my femininity as a man than I ever did as a woman, because it didn't make sense to me as a woman. It felt pretend, and now it doesn't. And it just turned out that it was, as she said, you're just taking each step to find yourself. It's not about man, it's not about woman. That's just how I'm perceived in the world. Like,
Yeah.
which is obviously gender's a construct. So that's
Mm.
how I'm perceived.
Yeah.
But internally, I've just become me. That's the basis.
That's so, so powerful, because obviously your child, your son, is picking up on that. It's an energy, it's an unspoken thing, but he's watching someone that he loves just be themselves, their
Yeah.
authentic self. And
Yeah.
that's rubbing off.
Yeah.
So, I mean, dad goals.
Yeah. I'm doing my best.
So let's talk about comedy in terms of, you moved into comedy. Are you a full-time comedian?
No. So I'm a support worker. I
Right.
work for an
Okay.
LGBTQIA plus company and
Amazing.
participants, and I also tutor kids in English and other things as well. Comedy is what I love to do. Unfortunately, it's one of those things where you often have another job until it gets to a very high point in your career, because
But I
it's
mean, it's
just,
early days, right? Because you've been doing it for how long?
yeah, I've only been two and a half, almost 3 years now.
2.5 years, and you've already been runner-up. So, I
Yeah.
mean, it's going places.
Yeah. Oh, for
Fair to
sure.
say.
Like I just did my first solo show on Saturday, my
Nice.
first one ever. And that was for Melts, which is like one of the biggest queer arts festivals in Australia. And yeah, oh, it was amazing. It was incredible. And I think it just gave me an opportunity to find like my audience a little bit,
Yeah.
because especially, I mean, Queensland's amazing. We do actually, Brisbane has a really good comedy scene, and the crowds are very welcoming and very open-minded. But there is something about doing comedy to queer people when you're talking about queer things that they can relate.
Yes.
So to have my first solo show be at a queer arts festival was like, it was perfect. I couldn't have asked for anything else. So it was amazing.
Tell me about writing comedy, how it comes to you and how you execute it.
So most of my comedy comes from just conversations that I'm having, and I'll crack a joke, and then I'll be like, everyone, if someone laughs and if I'm laughing, I'll be like, oh, wait a second. And I just
I've
have
got
to
to write
write it
that down.
down. Write it down. The notes I have are all like middle of the night thoughts, and the notes I have make no sense. And I'm just like, what was I talking about? Especially because I'm doing it fast and it'll autocorrect. And I'm just like, this makes like no sense.
Yeah.
And then usually, unfortunately for my friends, if I'm hanging out with a different group of friends, I'll try to work that conversation back up into the conversation so I can try it out again. And if it works a second time, I'm like, okay, this is
I've got something here.
sit down and work on. So,
Yeah.
so unfortunately, my friends and my partner become a bit of a soundboard, whether they know it or not.
Yeah,
They just
right.
try to
I'm
lead the
sure they're
conversation.
onto you now.
Yeah.
Like he's working us now.
Yeah, I think they're starting to get, when I start, oh, should we talk about this? I think they already know where it's going. So, but that and spending a lot of time at other gigs and around other comedians is like a massive one, because once we're chatting behind, like in the green room and those sorts of things. Well, the green room's a very funny place because everyone thinks it's like, oh, all these comedians being funny and for literally for 90% of the show, it's a bunch of anxious people sitting in silence, pacing around and reading over their notes. Like it's not as glamorous as people think. You can always tell who's been on stage because they're the ones having fun.
Yeah.
Everyone else is just quietly standing there. But afterwards, we'll have a drink, we'll chat, and sort of being around that energy, even just going to see a show, it's like, oh.
And I would imagine it's all
write.
supportive, right? Like all the other comedians are supportive of other comedians because they get it.
100%. I didn't know what to expect coming into the comedy scene. I thought, oh, maybe it's going to be cliquish. Maybe it's like, I'm better than you, all these sorts of things. But honestly, like, everyone's been so supportive. Everyone who runs the rooms here, like, shout out to them for giving us places to perform. And then all the Brisbane comedians have been incredibly supportive. And it's just, people are just, it's an amazing scene here. Hopefully it gets bigger and bigger. That's just how it is in Brisbane. It's one of those things where it's growing, but it can get bigger. Like I went down to Melbourne for Melbourne Comedy Festival and opened for my friend for his show. And the amount of comedy, like obviously at that time, Melbourne Comedy Festival, there's a lot of comedy, but even outside of that, there were so many like little open mics and all these sorts of things. And that's just, we don't have that many rooms here. So it's getting there, but the people just, I think we all just want Brisbane to be known for comedy. Like I think that's our big goal, because even with film, I graduated and everyone went down to Melbourne afterwards. And it's like, of course that's where there's opportunities.
Yes.
But also, how are we going to create an industry here if everyone just goes somewhere else? So I think there's a lot of hardworking comedians and creatives in Brisbane that are just trying to create something here so that we can, like Brisbane Comedy Festival, it's getting bigger and bigger every year and those sorts of things. So
your current show is called Square Peg Bonus Hole, which, I mean, it gives insight to you as a person that you're able to take something and just put humour, add a little bit of humour to it. But you've described it as exploring expectations and identity. So what does that title mean to you personally?
So, I mean, I'm honestly, that I don't know how I came up with that title, but I'm so happy with it, because
it must have been one of those things where you woke up and
I just had bonus hole written on.
Why did I write that?
Yeah, so when I was starting to write this show, like I had material that I had worked on for a while, and it was all kind of based around life now, like pre-transition and being a man and all these sorts of things, and my relationship and whatnot. And I came into this show wanting to mean something, I guess. Like, I know a comedy show can just be funny. That's also like incredibly valid. I love whatever type of show people want to put on. But for me, especially in the subjects that I was exploring. Like I wanted people to come out of it like feeling a certain way or feeling
Like
something.
uplifted.
And I
Yeah.
think the purpose of the show was to talk about expectations and not just trans, queer. Sort of, I wanted people to be able to relate on all levels from any part of society, because I want people to realize that we're not that different to each other. So
Absolutely.
the whole purpose, I talk about my questioning myself as a man in terms of what society thinks. I also talk about male insecurities, body image insecurities, which I did not know men had. I thought the women had that market cornered. Like I did not know that they were so hard on themselves as well, especially now with social media. And then I talk about being a millennial and being an adult and kind of figuring my way out through the world of being an adult when I feel like I'm not really prepared for it. I think we were all at a point where we kind of just figuring it out as we go. And then in that sense, I'm talking about the expectations I had as a kid of where I was going to be at 36. I'm going to have a house. I'm going to have this career. I'm going to blah, blah, blah. And I'm starting a new career at 34. I've just become a man. Like all those expectations are out the window. And I also talk about my being in a relationship and being a partner to my partner's South African Indian. So we're also in an interracial couple, which has its own expectations and the differences between her and I in regards to how we grew up and our culture and my lack of culture. But but the whole point of the thing is whether you're a straight man who wants to go and see the ballet or a trans person that is becoming their true self or whatever, like being yourself is the most important thing. And it's hard when society's telling you what you should be, who you should be, what you should do. And everyone's dealing with that right now. Everyone's dealing with influencers telling you got to dress this way,
and that we're just not perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. Governments. Yeah. I mean, that's the hardest thing with kids. Or I feel that kids are facing these days. If they just see these fake lives of these people and they're like, our son's like, oh, when I get my silver YouTube plaque or whatever. And I was like, okay, well, let's like talk about you having a YouTube channel first before.
Yes. Yeah. Before we get you to that status.
Yeah. Yeah. But when he's like, when I get my first 100,000 subscribers, I was like, all right. But the best thing about that is I talked to him about my comedy and I'm like, I don't get paid for 99% of these gigs. And he's like, but you're out doing so many. And I'm like, yes, because I love it. And I want to share my thoughts and my comedy with people. If you want to go on YouTube when you're at an appropriate age to do it because there's something you want to share with the world.
Yeah.
Don't
do it just to get that status or just to get the likes. Do it. And then if that follows, then, that's a cherry perhaps. But do something, be motivated by what you like and love doing.
And I think you see that, like, even with comedy and those sorts of things, when it's like people just following on trends of what people talk about. And, it's the people that have something to say and have a unique way of saying it, whether it is the most relatable thing and something that you've heard a million times. If they can see it from a different angle and do it in a hilarious way, you're like, oh, this person's going to stick around. So I think the whole point was just, fuck off. Sorry, I don't know if I can swear.
No, you can totally swear.
Yeah, I was like, to fuck off expectations that we've put on ourselves, that society's put on us, that I thought my parents put on me that they didn't. Like, I talked to them and I'm like, oh, yeah, I just want you to be proud. They're like, we've been proud for ages. Like, chill out. Like, I think it's a lot of internal pressure. And like I said, it all stems from, I think, a lot of queer people trying to be perfect because we're already worried that someone's not going to like us just for being us. So we can't give them any other reason for them not to like us. We've got to be perfect. And I think it's just a horrible way to live, feeling like you can't make mistakes and you can't.
I think that one of the things I think why people are so afraid of, being, I think a comedian and maybe a high school teacher are kind of in the same category. Why would anyone do that?
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
This is what my two jobs. Well,
exactly.
High school kids
But I think what you've done is you've broken down the wall. Okay, well, what about if people don't laugh? big deal.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, that's obviously the fear. What about if I get up there and nobody laughs? You've had that.
Yeah.
And you're still here. You're talking about it.
Yeah, once it happens, it happens. And it's happened more than once. It's happened quite a lot, but that's part of it. But when I get up there and I talk about the cost of bottom surgery, and I talk about the having no nipples, and I talk about this and that, like, it's just in a fun way. And I think comedy breaks down a lot of people's defensiveness, really.
Yes. Gives you permission to laugh at maybe perhaps something that you didn't think you could laugh at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I make jokes about all parts of my trans experience. And I'm like, if I'm saying it, giving permission for people to laugh. But I think that just opens up people to listen, because once they're laughing and once I'm being self-deprecating and we're having a good time, they actually listen. And then they come up after me and like, oh, is that actually how much it costs? Oh, do you actually have no nipples? Like, just questions, but they want to know, they want to understand it. And I think comedy helps it not seem preachy, which is a positive thing, because people will get very defensive if you start saying, oh, you should respect,
Yeah. I've come here to laugh, not to be educated. Thank you very much. Kind of that thing.
Literally.
Yeah. Yeah. So how has being a dad, so you never thought you were going to be a comedian. I bet you never thought that you were going to be a dad.
No.
Talk about that part of your life.
Yeah. So I mean, just in my adult years, I never thought I'd have a kid. I never planned on having a kid. I was not someone who was around children. I just never. Yeah. I just was like, just living my life. Like, I don't need a kid. This is how it's going to be. And then, it kind of all just happened because I met an amazing woman who I wanted to spend my life with, and she had a child, and he's just an amazing kid. Like, I've always said, like, as someone who had never thought I'd be a tutor, like, with kids.
Yes.
Like, it's crazy how life's changed.
How did that come about? By having your son and just being exposed to that world?
Yeah, being exposed to that world. My friends worked there, and I was getting out of the hospitality industry because I'd just been working bar manager for years. I needed a change, and I've studied a lot. I have 2 degrees, and so I was like, oh, do you reckon that'll give me a job? And I think having a son, and also he has ADHD. I also work with participants with support work. So I think I have a unique way of understanding what works communication-wise with a lot of different people. So I think that really helped. But being around a kid is just made me go, kids are cool. They generally are. Like,
they're so much better than adults.
It's taken a while. Like, it's still a whole different world for me in terms of not just being able to go and do things whenever I want, because I'd spent 20 years doing that. It was very much like, oh, my friends are going to organize this. Okay, let's go and do this. And it's like, oh no, there's babysitters and there's organization.
It's a logistical thing here.
Yeah, it is. It's a logistical thing. But it's just been incredible to be a part of his life and just be there to support him when he needs it. And we're going to Supernova. For his birthday, we're going to go to Supernova, the convention, and he is non-stop talking about it. He's so excited. So
dressing up?
Yeah, he's dressing up as Luffy from One Piece. And my partner and I are dressing up. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Best in Show.
Best in Show? Yes, I have.
Yes. And, Eugene Levy and Catherine O'Hara's characters So it's going to be an odd little group, but he's so excited, and just to be able to like have that experience with him is great. Unfortunately, he does tell me like, I wish you were home more. And when I'm home, I'm working on show, especially coming up to this show. It's just been a lot of staying up really late, perfecting it. So, but he understands. I talk him through it, and I'm just like, this is something that I'm working on. Like, after this next show is done, I promise, like, I'll be home more and I'll take a little break. I'll take a month or 2 off.
That's called dad guilt, by the way.
All dads, all
I feel
just guilty all the time. But, like, Like I feel guilty all the time, but it's such an interesting thing coming in as a step parent, and I was always very unsure of how to parent and those sorts of things. And I feel like the people who have the children know, but I know we're all figuring it out. I didn't,
Absolutely.
yeah. So I was always scared to. I don't want to cause trauma in any way, and I think as our generation, we're all starting to understand unintentionally, how you grow up can create things, and
Yes.
it's not even it might not even be a bad thing. Like
Mm.
it's just growing up, and I think that's where I had to like figure out what I was thinking in that, reframe how I was thinking and all I can do now is, if I've probably gotten too frustrated or those, I apologize. I explain what I could have done better. We're all working to be better. I'm working to be better. And just being a bit more fallible in their eyes, I think, is like, because I think we all grew up very, adults are always right. And I think
Yes,
then
absolutely.
we tend to model behaviors, whether it's our parents or other people in society. And I think kids knowing that, like, I don't always have the answers. I'm learning.
Yes.
I'm not always
Yeah.
going to behave the way that I say you should. That's just, unfortunately, we're all different. We're all going through our own things. So I think that's the only thing that I can do in terms of that side of things, is just say like, oh, look, I'm learning, like I'm getting better. Let's all be better together, and let's work through things. So
Has being a dad kind of filtered into your comedy show yet? Has it made its way there?
yeah, I do talk a bit about being a dad, and just talk about the discipline side of things, in just regards to, I mean, gentle parenting. I talk a little bit about, because I think there's a middle ground between really strict and
It's. I'll tell you what it is. I asked you nicely the first time. I even asked you nicely the second time. I raised my voice the third time. The fourth and the fifth time, I've gone absolutely bananas. But you pushed me to that.
yeah. It's one of those things. It's like I was like, the patience of a saint. These people, if they can do it. But my partner also has ADHD, so sometimes just getting those two anywhere is
Yeah.
is I give them I tell them we got to leave half an hour before we actually do, because I know we're gonna be late no matter what. So yeah, I talk about those sorts of things, and talk about just being a parent, and I mean, social media, I guess, and those and things that they shouldn't be seeing, and how easy it is for them to see it, and it's all the interesting things that happen. But it's definitely something I want to work more into my comedy. I think I really want to run a comedy night at some point, like a one-off night where it's a bunch of comedians that are teachers and parents, and call
Yeah.
it like a PTA night. And
Yes.
the
And that
audience
does
can,
happen because my mum's a teacher, my sister's a teacher, and they have every year they have like a comedian that comes in and does like a show.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. And I was like, because there's a lot of comedians that are teachers, or
Yes.
comedians that are parents that do shows. And I was like, we need to, on school holidays, get the audience to be parents and teachers,
Yes.
and have the
Yes.
comedians be parents and teachers, and the jokes be like, teachers suck, parents suck, whatever. But that laughter and would break down the defensiveness between the two groups. Like, I think
Well,
it brings
laughter
people together.
de-escalates things, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And teachers can make jokes about how ridiculous parents are, and parents can make jokes about how ridiculous teachers are. And
Absolutely.
they can all have fun together, because they're all there. The comedians are happy with each other, like having a good time. So I think like it's cool to bring groups together, but I definitely want to do more about parenting. It's just finding that balance of, like, even with the show, like, it not being just about being trans. It's not. So it's trying to find how things work together to make like a cohesive show or set. So
It's like what you said earlier, and I actually had this question written down. Like, as a trans comedian, do you ever feel the pressure to represent your community? Do you feel like there's an obligation there? But it sounds like you've hit like a sweet spot where it authentically comes through anyway. What would you say to that?
Yeah, I think there's definitely like it's a weird contradiction of being like, I feel like I should talk about this. It's the same in life.
Yes.
Like I never don't tell people I'm trans unless it seems unsafe.
Mm.
But I always feel like I want to tell people I'm trans because I want more people to meet trans people. So, and it's the same with comedy. I love talking about my transition. I love talking about being trans. I also worry about being the trans comedian, but I did talk to an amazing comedian up here. She's an Indian lady, and she's like, people told me not to do stuff about being Indian, and I didn't. And I realized that stuff's like great, and she's selling out Brisbane Comedy Festival. She's like, she's amazing. Like, she supported me so much, and like, she's like, it's easy for other people to tell you don't be that because you'll
Yeah.
get pigeonholed, but the audience, you might just need to find your audience and they'll love
Absolutely.
it. So I don't just want to talk about that, but I do really frame it as in the way I frame a lot of the trans stuff is more about life as a man versus life as a woman, which I feel like can relate to a larger audience than just just talking about being a trans
Absolutely.
person.
Yep.
Because I want people to know that I've experienced what most women have experienced, and I experience what a lot of men experience now, and it's
I
interesting
think,
the
yeah,
difference. Sorry.
I think the review, and I'll just read it again, the review that is up on the website, which was from a female audience member. My husband hates trans people, but he thinks you're very funny. And it's random female audience member. I laughed so much, but there's so much in that with what you've just said. Like
Yeah,
somebody has come to your show and has left feeling completely entertained, but also like enlightened.
yeah. So this was a I think it was a 7-minute spot at Maroochydore, and I love like amazing bar up there to do comedy at, and I finished my set. I was having a drink, and this woman kind of stopped me and was like, "Hey, would you mind just waiting here for a sec? Like my husband's getting some beers, and he'll be back." And he hates trans people, but like he thinks you're really funny. And she's like, "Oh, he's like a tradie, and all these things." And I was like, "Oh yeah, that's okay." And then he came back and he was just like, "Hey, that was so good. That was so funny." And we just had a really nice chat. And I've done gigs up at Nambour to the like very old white straight cisgender men,
Yeah.
and been out the back talking to them before the show and think, oh, maybe we won't talk after, and then they're just like, that was so good. Like
Wow.
there's a weird audience that like not a weird audience. It's an audience I didn't expect
Yes,
in
absolutely.
older males that
And
I
it
just
goes
didn't.
back to what you said earlier. I'm not even sure whether this was during this chat or whether it was before, is that we're all just people. We're not as different as what we led to believe. We're all people and we're probably all aspiring to be happy and content and fulfilled. And that's no different to anyone.
100%. Like we're all people, and I think that's where the internet and things really make things a lot more divisive than they have to be. I
Yeah.
think it's this rhetoric that we're all so different, and you just like, I go through the same things that you go through, and that's the whole thing. That's the whole joke. Like one of my first jokes is just, I pass so well now as male, I get accurate quotes from mechanics. And like, yeah, but it's true. Like that's the thing. There's
Yes.
humor in it, but
Yes. It's truth. Yeah.
it's true. And I pass so well, women walk across the street to avoid me now. Like
Yes. Yeah. Wow.
but men get it, women get it, and
Yeah.
we all get it, even though I'm just saying that I've experienced both of them. But like
Yeah.
it helps to relate to like anyone because we've
Yes.
all experienced some form of this in our life. So that's why it's great. But I talk about it in my show. I feel like I'm definitely lucky because my transition journey has been so positive. My family have supported me, my friends have supported me, my partner supported me, and I know that's not the case for a lot of trans people. And I think with that, I take on a bit of responsibility to share my story because I want people to meet a trans person. I want people to understand trans people as people. And I know I have the privilege of not having a lot of trauma associated with the transition part of my life. Pre-transition, yes, but the transition part has been like mostly very, very positive. So I think it's important that I share my story, even if it's in a humorous way, even if it's in jokes. I think it's important that I can get out there and answer some of the ridiculous questions that I get, and because some people just it's been so hard for them, and
Yeah.
it's still not treated well by society. Passing is a privilege in itself, and I think if I looked different and looked more non-binary, I don't know how I'd go in a lot of comedy rooms to audiences. Like I look like this, I make a reveal that I'm trans, I start off not saying anything, and then so it's an easier way to transition into them understanding me because I look like this, and so I do understand my privilege in that sense, and in that sense, as much as it's a comedy show, I do take it seriously in regards to what like getting out there and
What
spreading the
position
word.
you have up there.
Yeah, exactly.
Daniel, I think you are incredible. We're going to wrap this up now.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave it with you telling me what does a rainbow family mean to you?
Rainbow family. So I think a rainbow family to me is just a loving and inclusive and understanding, and no matter who you are as a person, no matter what gender, sexuality, it's about embracing each person for who they are. Because, like, in our family, in our little 3-person family, outside of our own families that have come together, interracial, trans, bisexual, pansexual, like we have so many differences just in us, just neurodivergence. We all got our own thing going on, and I think the fact that we understand each other, we do our best to understand each other, no matter what the moods are, no matter what's going on. We just want to make sure that everyone feels loved in our family, and I think that's the biggest thing about rainbow families and the community in general is just about joy, love, understanding, and unconditional care for people, because no matter what, we are a family, and we are always going to be a family, and there's just so much love there. And I think that's one of the important things, and it's awesome to have podcasts like this. I think it's very important to share our stories. I think it's amazing.
I think if you talk, I think you are so remarkable, and I'm sure you've been told that before. It's incredible. I think with kids, if you speak to most parents, when you say, what do you want for your kids or whatever, the standard response, and it's a genuine response, is I just want my child to be happy.
Yeah.
I want them to just grow up and be happy with who they are.
Yeah.
And you are just living proof of that.
Yeah. I think that's the biggest thing is I just want everyone in my family to be happy, whether it's us three, whether it's my sister, my parents. I just want people to be happy, because I wasn't happy for so long. So I think that's like the biggest thing. And I'm not always going to get it right. I'm not always going to, I might get things wrong. He might not be happy because I took away something. But we can't, but I think all I can do is do my best.
Yeah.
And I think that's the most important thing is if you're caring a bit of dad guilt because you want to do better, and you're trying to do better, that's all you can do. And I think I think they see that. I think they see the effort that's put in, and I think they see the love and care. So I think that's the most important thing, because I had all the support. I had support from my family, and I had support from my partner. And even before I transitioned, I had support from my family. And even with that, I still didn't feel good in myself because of the transition. So I think rainbow families allow kids to not have to experience that side of things. And I think that's what's important, because I kept my sexuality in a closet. I kept my transness in a closet. because I wasn't sure about what society would think, what my family would think, even though they were okay with it.
Yeah.
I think rainbow families and families that just discuss these things or have queer people around or trans people around, those kids don't have to go through that at all. If they think, if they're queer, they can say it.
Yeah.
They are hopefully just coming out is not even a thing at some point. Like,
Yeah.
so I think that's what the rainbow families do. Even going to drop our son off at school, like his friend said, "Oh, is that your brother?" And I was like, "Well, thank you, first of all, I'll take that." But he's like, "Oh no, that's my dad. He
Yeah.
used to be my mom. Now he's my dad." And they're just like, "Okay."
Yeah.
And it's like, cool. Now, once they see a trans person, it's not going to be, or they hear about it, they're going to be like, "Oh, his dad is." Like,
And equally that person, and it will be something, I hope it's hit you what you're doing in terms of your comedy, to people like that audience member that said, my husband hates trans people, and then comes out and gives you a chat and all the rest of it. You've impacted his life.
Yeah.
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 And that's, I mean, wow, that's amazing.
No, it's awesome. I've had people come up and say, "I think I'm trans." Like, how do you do that? "Oh, thank you for being representation. My friends are trans." And I never came into it to do that. I didn't come into it
No.
to change lives or things. I just came in to tell my story and have a laugh. And I think it's worked out to be pretty impactful on me as well, that I just didn't expect, which is awesome.
Daniel, thank you so much for joining
right.
us. If you're listening to this podcast, Google the name Daniel Brushweeler and Google the show Square Peg Bonus Hole, because I just have a feeling, Daniel, that you're just going to travel this show around Australia, and I hope that I get to see it one day. Perfect, because I think people will love to see it.
Yeah, that's the plan. Hopefully hit a lot of the festivals next year and yeah, touring around. Come down to Sydney, Melbourne, all those places.
Love that. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you.
No worries. Thank you so much.
Over the rainbow, bluebirds fly, and the dreams that you dream of, dreams really do come true.